Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Would you like to pretend like it's Tuesday?
No.
Okay.
It's Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
You've had a busy week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting blown up right now.
Are you really?
With the hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
Parents are just getting back to houses and checking everything out. So.
Everything okay, though? It seemingly
Yeah,
things were not as bad as they were predicting.
No, it didn't end up that bad. I think my mom's number is 10 feet. If the storm surge got to 10 feet, they were going to be in trouble. And it looks like it only got to about 8 to 9.
Okay.
So
wow, real close though.
Close, yeah. So they're good. No power, so we'll see how long that lasts. But a couple days of no power, they can manage.
I mean, it's like living here.
Yeah, I mean, like we had that storm not too long ago with a whole bunch of people out of power.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody did good. It looks like, because we had, my mom just got a new house 2 blocks from the harbor, and my aunt has a house right on the canal, like right off the beach, and looks like everybody did okay.
Good.
So
good.
Yep.
Yeah, prayers answered. That was definitely. I would never live there. We were talking about, my kids were saying that too. Like, as much as we love
Clearwater, you guys go to Clearwater, yeah.
Yeah, we love it there, but I just that's something that I just could not. For my family, we couldn't just like, well, we got to pack up and go.
Right.
Like Lichtenbergers, like Kate is going to school down there.
Yeah.
And Wendy was there, and they had
to evacuate.
They had to evacuate.
Because they'll shut down school and.
Yeah, and they went to Atlanta, I think.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's one of those things. People outside of Florida, they're like, "Oh man, why don't you live on the beach?" Well, that's why. Because every storm that comes through the Gulf, like, you get feet of water, and then if you're like us, we lived off the beach. And people were like, "Well, why aren't you at the beach every day?" Because when you live off the beach, what is a 20-minute drive is an hour to get down there, because of all the beach traffic.
Oh, yeah.
And so it just ends up, you don't go to the beach as much as you want. And if you live down on the beach, you got to deal with all this.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah, lake life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you don't really live.
Yeah. But it was crazy. The tornadoes was the big story, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
Because Florida typically gets like little EF01 tornadoes, spin ups and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And yesterday they had like F4 monsters.
I'm sure you saw the videos of that.
Oh,
right?
I was all over that because my dad's friend, who was just out here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Redevin, Mr. Redevin.
Yeah.
Yeah. They evacuated to their lake house inland, and they had two like F3, F4 monsters that went through the little tiny town they were in. One on one side, one on the other. They were right in the middle.
Wow.
So like less than, one of them was about a mile, one of them was a half mile.
All good?
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
But like they had no power, no way to know. So like I'm just texting him. I'm like, "Hey, it's coming into town. Like you got to bunker up, And he was like, "We don't have basements."
So what do you do?
In Florida, you just get
go
to
get in the bathtub or something?
But yeah,
put a mattress over your head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the big tornadoes coming through that was pretty wild. They were like Midwest tornadoes. Mm-hmm. So big wedges and yeah. But everybody's good.
Say big wedgies?
Wedges.
Oh, wedges. Gotcha. Okay.
Like the Elkhorn tornado was a wedge. There's stovepipe, there's wedge, there's different shapes of tornadoes.
Stovepipe. I don't even know these things. Should I know these things?
No.
Does it matter?
No.
It doesn't really matter.
I watch all my storm chasers, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
You should go on a sabbatical.
Storm chasing.
You should have kept that Camry.
Yeah.
And outfitted that thing.
Yeah.
Accordingly. But do you miss it?
No.
A little bit.
No, it's okay. It was starting to act up, making noises.
Yeah.
So it was all right to get rid of it.
All right.
That
I'll say
little
so.
Subaru is nice.
Oh, they're sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's a good
great
car.
How's the mileage back and forth? Probably better. Better than the Camry.
No, Camry was better.
No, was it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Camry did have great mileage.
Gosh, they know how to make a car.
They do. What's going on with you?
Well, we still live here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're selling it, though.
Eh,
Are you guys staying?
I don't know.
You,
It's up in the air.
you're waiting. You're waiting to find out what the adults of the house decide.
Right? Yeah. Just let me know. And I'll start packing up guitars and whatnot.
Okay.
Now that I've kind of gotten this place sort of the way that I wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just I don't know. There was a house that we looked at. We put an offer on in Elkhorn that turned out just had a couple things that the inspectors said needed to be fixed, and so we just adjusted the offer accordingly, and then
And that didn't fly.
well, the sellers were like, the adjustment that we made was based on contractors saying this is what it's going to take, and then the sellers were like, we think it's going to take this much, not that much, and we were this far apart,
Yeah.
and we're like, no thanks, not looking for a project right about now. So we pulled that, and we found another place in Elkhorn that I affectionately dubbed Grandpa's Cabin, because you walk in there and you're like, I think another generation lives here,
Yeah.
But I am a grandpa, actually, come to think of it. So
Yeah.
kind of fitting.
Yeah, but your house doesn't smell like mothballs.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we'll, like, that'll either happen today or it won't. And if that doesn't happen, then we're probably just going to settle in. Yeah.
I told you. Straight up trade.
Okay.
Mine for yours.
You got to get to keep your dog.
No.
No?
No.
She's one of the family.
Yes.
So actually, as a part of the this whole process, we shipped our dogs off to my mom's for like literally a day because we had showings.
Right.
And what are you gonna do with them? And so that turned into over a week that she had our dogs. And the most miraculous event happened. My mom does not allow animals to sleep with her. So like she puts them in the kennel.
She's getting soft in her old age.
Nope.
Oh.
The whole time.
Oh.
So when they came back, I'm like, we're going to keep rolling with that. And so it's like, no, they'll be so sad. I'm like, they're dogs. They sleep in a kennel. That's where they sleep. Yeah.
That's where we have Maddie sleep, yeah.
In her kennel.
Yeah.
That's normal.
She gets used to it.
Yeah. Like sleeping in our bed is not normal.
Yeah.
So, boom. My mom fixed it.
Problem solved, man.
Yeah.
That's
she
big.
fixed the glitch.
Yeah.
The dogs sleep in their kennel. Isn't that great?
Yeah, now you have your bed.
I know.
Uh-huh.
It's so awesome.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't get growled at in the middle of the night because I happen to roll over and, nudge one. That's always fun. When you get growled at in your own bed. Like, how dare you? How dare you toss and turn?
Yeah. You don't get that from Sarah?
Oh, no.
She a heavy sleeper?
No, I don't think she's a heavy sleeper.
Yeah. Joe and I have had to talk about this because my wife is very, very sweet. But when she wakes up in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
like, because I will literally, I sleep on my side, and my right arm will be going numb, and I'll want to roll over to the other side, and I know it'll startle her awake.
No.
And so, like, it will take me 10 minutes to, like, slowly just shift my body weight to not in any way wake her up. Because when she gets woken up, she, like, cannot fall back asleep.
Oh.
And so then she's, like, crabby, because she's like, I was up from, like, 2:30 to 5. And I'm like, sorry, I had to pee. I'll hold it next time. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Would she prefer you wet the bed?
You're, no, I don't know. But because I'm sympathetic, like, that would frustrate me because like she can get up, she can do things, like I can fall right back asleep. There is nothing she can roll over, but like she cannot fall right back asleep. And so, yeah, so I get
King size bed?
If there's a jumbo king, that's what we have. Like we're in like different zip codes.
Yeah. And still?
Oh yeah. Like even this, and the other thing is like, I don't like to go to bed when she goes to bed. So like on weekends, like I'll stay up watching something.
Yeah.
And like I try and like tiptoe in, and like slowly, no, I cannot. I'll wake her up and then I'm sorry. And yeah. Yeah. And she's sweet as pie, but she is, when you wake her up at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
She is huffy.
Well,
there's just lots of sighing.
Oh no.
And I hear
that's the worst.
I know. Because I'm like, oh
boy. I'm in for it now.
She woke up.
Man, so until we moved here a year and a half ago, we had always had a queen size bed.
Yeah.
So we were used to like this close proximity.
Yeah.
With a little dog in there as well, just one. When we moved here, we bought an adult sized bed for two adults.
My feet don't hang off the edge.
My feet don't hang off the edge. We're not constantly knocking each other in the knees or whatever. And that was great, except for then we got another dog, so we had two little dogs in the bed.
Yeah.
And that doesn't.
That
I mean,
like
even a
that
king
song.
size.
What is it?
Pardon me?
Monkeys in the bed and one rolled
Yeah,
over.
jumping on the bed. Yeah. No more monkeys jumping on the bed.
No, roll over. They all rolled over and one fell out.
Is this one of those songs that you wrote in college?
No. Yep.
A morose song about a monkey falling off the bed?
Yes.
No, man. No, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But all I know is this. Now, I feel like I have all this real estate because...
Oh, I'm still on the edge. Even in a giant bed, I sleep right on the edge. Because I'm used to that. Joe's parents, oh my gosh, they sleep in a twin bed.
No,
they like touch
no
the whole night.
They don't sleep in a twin bed.
Yes.
They behave as if they sleep in a twin bed.
They behave as if they sleep in a twin bed, but when they come to our house, they sleep in a twin bed and they are fine.
I would be too. I could sleep on a couch with my wife.
For the whole night?
Sure, yeah.
There's not enough room.
What do you mean? What do you need room?
How do you move?
You don't use canoodle.
No.
Move together.
Oh, I move all night. I got to shift
song.
from one side to the other.
Gosh, that reminds me of a great song.
That you wrote? The canoodling couch
one of my
song?
favorite songwriters, James Bay, wrote a song called "Move Together." Oh, so good. Anyway, yeah, no, but you're just like.
What about your song "Big Spoon, Little Spoon"? That was a classic. That was a good one.
Mental note: have AI write a song about Big Spoon, Little Spoon.
Oh, it exists.
Big Spoon, Little Spoon.
I guarantee. Yes.
Can I?
I'll be your big spoon.
Dude, I got to speak.
You be my little spoon.
I shouldn't do it. There's a church. I'm not going to name the church. And their worship band wrote a song, and I'm not going to name the song. But remind me to play it for you.
Okay. Is it about a big spoon and a little spoon? What made you think it? You were just thinking of bad songs.
It's a cliche.
Oh, okay.
Like the name of the song is a cliche. Ultimately,
okay.
Not a cliche, but yeah, kind of. And
well, don't say any more.
I'm not gonna say any more. I just like there's so much good music out there. Again, we talked about this last week. This is like not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a good writer, and I'm not gonna try to force it either. There's great music out there.
Yeah.
Let's just do the great stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway. Whew. Boy, I'm glad I got that off my chest.
Yeah.
It's been weighing on me.
Uh-huh. So are you the big spoon or little spoon? That's what everybody wants to know.
I'm sorry. Everybody wants to know.
Yes. You're talking about canoodling on couches.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a big spoon or a little spoon?
I'm the big spoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you were a
gonna-
little spoon.
What is that supposed to mean?
I think you like being hugged.
I do. I do like being hugged.
Yeah. I could see you being little spoon.
I mean, when we sleep,
I can't wait.
No,
What's
wait,
next?
like-
I can't wait. Go.
well, everybody, you know, you do the the sort of like middle of the night dance. Like I'm the big spoon, and then after my arm falls asleep, I'm gonna roll this way, and then she rolls over. I blew it this morning though, man, because like she likes to get up super super early,
Yeah.
and go for walks. And last night I was like, hey, I'll get up and go, because I don't always, especially if I'm up, because she goes to bed early. If I'm up late, I want to get up at 4:30 in the morning and go for a walk. Just don't want to do that. And I didn't set my alarm. And so I woke up at 5:30. Now she's been gone for 20 minutes by then. And I was like, oh no, I feel terrible. And I felt so bad about it that I rolled over and went back to sleep.
You didn't hear her get up?
I heard her get up, but she gets up. So like her routine is like get up at 4:45.
Oh.
Yeah. Get coffee, let the dogs out of their kennel. And then like sort of like get into the day where I'm like, roll out of bed. Let's roll. Let's do this thing. So she got up at 4:45. I'm like, I got time. And then I fell back asleep. And at 5:30, I woke up. I was like, oh man, I feel bad. She's out there by herself. I told her I'd go, and all this. And like I said, I felt so bad about it. I rolled back over and went to sleep for an hour. Another hour.
Good.
And
you need sleep.
But the way that I redeemed myself is I got up and I went and I was like, I'm so sorry, I blew it. But in that extra hour and a half of sleep that I got, I dreamed that we had another baby.
How did that redeem it? Are you guys going to have another kid?
I hope so.
I know. There's still a chance, Grandpa.
There's another chance. Yeah. It was
I
a
said that
toddler.
not too
It was
long
like
ago.
a 2-year-old just getting ready to start talking.
Oh.
My favorite phase. You did what now?
I did that not too long ago. I was like, Joe, I could do one more. She was like, absolutely not.
Why?
She don't want any more.
So she doesn't like kids?
She's just ready to be out of that phase.
Oh man, I'm ready to be in that phase. Put me back in, coach.
Yeah.
I am ready to parent another toddler.
Speaking of parenting,
I know. Maybe that's why I dreamt about it.
because you're supposed to.
I want another chance at it.
Yeah.
And I guess just to like really squelch any of those dreams, I had like the greatest interaction with Cameron this morning.
Kids are a blessing from the Lord.
Dude. I said, hey, good morning, Cam. He's walking through the kitchen. No acknowledgement. I said, oh, hey, good morning. And he goes, what?
Did you hug him and kiss him?
I murmured some things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in this phase now with him. This middle school phase where like he's doing his hair now. He's like conscious of his hair and he's been doing it. Mm-hmm. And then I took him to get a haircut because like what was going on there was not good, Mm-hmm. And then, she did a good job of styling it. I'm like, hey, I can help you with that. And so then after that.
Because look at you.
That's right.
Looking good this morning.
It's all right. Just get along. I'm not doing this with you. Anyway, so I'm fixing his hair, right? I fix his hair. Looks great. I walk out of the bathroom. What's he do?
Do it himself.
Oh. So I walk back in and I go, what are you doing? He's like, what? It's like same interaction from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Actually, I am done with kids. Mm-hmm. I'm done with this. Thanks to him.
If you don't do your hair the way I've done your hair.
If you don't want my help, Like I could have done like a good passive aggressive response would be like, oh, I guess if you don't want my help or if you don't like the way I do things, but I'm not that way. I'm aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, hey, idiot, I just fixed your hair and you've ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks you ruined it.
I don't know.
Do you really want a grandpa designing your hair for you?
Yeah. Nice hat. Parenting. Great sermon. I'm going to jump in on the front end and just give you as much, I'm going to stroke your ego as much as I can. It was so good. I loved every bit of it. And sitting in the front row with my family, taking in this message.
That was my favorite.
It was great because what you don't know is that, and I didn't know this at the time, that Sarah and Kayla had a good tussle on the way, off the door and on the way. I mean, they were at each other's throats, and so it just set up perfectly.
So it was priceless. During 9:30, the Breastman family is sitting in the very front row. His high school daughter Kayla. I said something to the effect of, "Parents, it can't always be discipline. It can't be whenever your kid hears their name out of your mouth, like they're like, oh, what did I do now? What am I?" And Kayla goes, "Oh yeah," like out loud. And Sarah shot her this death look. And so I am trying not to act like I saw this in the front row. And Kayla's like laughing because she realizes I recognize that she did it, And Sarah is like, "I can't believe she did that." Like you could just see it on her face. And I was like, oh, that just warms my heart.
You know what is really impressive is that I saw you see that go down and you didn't skip a beat.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because if that were me, honorary pastor.
Yeah.
Preaching in an honorary type of way.
That would have been a squirrel type moment for
you.
It
would have been because, when you lock in on something, you see somebody have such a response to something you just said.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it wouldn't have necessarily thrown me off but I probably would have, had to
taking a step. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that happened several times.
Yeah.
Several times in that message, but it was great.
It is interesting. I've talked about this before. That I'll be preaching, and I think because you do it 3 times, I'll actually start thinking while I'm preaching, while I'm literally talking out loud to an entire room. Like I'll be thinking of something, and I'll have to stop myself and be like, "Stop! Focus on what you're saying. You're literally talking right now." But you get so comfortable up there that you just start. Yeah, because I was thinking about that while I was talking and everything. So. But yeah, it was a good sermon topic for I don't want to do parenting too much because that doesn't impact everybody.
Sure.
But I do think it's something that we definitely have to talk about. And whether you're single, you sit there and a lot of what we talked about was, hey, get these things right now before you're married, before you're a parent. Start these things now. And then, I had a lot of older, grandparents age people afterwards come to say "Pastor, that hit home for us," because either I'm watching my kid parent and that's hard because I want to step in or I don't know what to say exactly. Or, I'm trying to give them space, but also I have opinions,
That's one of the hardest things. Got to be one of the hardest things for a grandparent.
Well, and they said, or, I'm looking back at my own parenting and I'm like, oh man,
I got it wrong.
Yeah. I woulda, shoulda, coulda. I wish and I wish I had heard this sermon, 30 years ago or whatever. And I was like, hey, I'm in the middle of it and I still mess up every day. So just because you know the right things to do doesn't mean you do them, And, so it was very timely, for everyone, I think. So you take that Bible verse, train up a child in the way they should go and they won't depart from it, as they get old. And the thing to remember about, the Proverbs, that's where it comes from, is Proverbs 22, is they're not promises in the Bible. They're principles. Mm-hmm. And so we had to talk about, this verse doesn't mean that like, oh, if I just send them to church, send them to Sunday school, send them to a Christian school. If I just, do the program, just XYZ, I run the program, they're going to turn out, it's going to be okay. They're going to be good. They, that if I, I remember being a new parent, you read all those parenting books, and you're, with your first one and you're like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And then by the second one, you're like, okay, like we got it. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, you don't have to be so rigid and, trying to do these certain things because every kid's different and they come out different. And, but yeah. And so we had to talk about, okay, so what is this verse really trying to say? If there's not some program to do, and the first step is this, and this wasn't in the verse, but the first step of parenting, and this is the hardest thing, is it starts with you. Like, we always think of parenting as something that the focal point is our kids, but that's not the point. Parenting starts with you, and it starts with your heart, because you out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, and what happens inside of you. So if you're always yelling at your kids, if you're always down on your kids, if you're always pointing out the negative things about your kids, if you're always, all those things that I think sometimes we blame our kids for. Oh, my kids drive me crazy. My kids make me yell. My kids make me, and I do this too. I blame them, and I'll say it to their face, I don't want to yell at you, but you're doing this and I have to, and all that. Like I do, I say that to them and I blame them. And the truth is the reality is what Bible says over and over is, no, that's a problem with my own heart. Mm-hmm. That's me not being able to control my own self. And so I need to be praying, God, you change my heart. You parent my heart so that I can parent their heart. Because, I don't want my kids walking around being like, oh, Dad's always upset. Dad's always on me. Dad's always, and I mean, I grew up that way. Like, my dad was always on me, and I look at it and was like, okay, I deserved it though. Like, I truly pushed all the buttons. And in some ways, some of my kids, that's them, and I think that frustrates me a little bit in that I have 4 kids. They all came from the same mom and dad, yet they're all different. And, there's a couple of them that I am constantly having to correct. And there's a couple of them I'm not. I'm not going to embarrass them. But I think it's frustrating because I think they notice that too.
Sure.
And they step back and go, like, Dad's always on me, Yeah. And I don't want to be, And I think it's interesting how, and maybe this happens in your marriage, my wife and I are different in who we're always on.
Yeah.
Like little things that she is always on somebody on. I'm like, let that go.
Let that go.
And then I'm on somebody else about something else, and she's like, let that go. Like, it's just interesting the different, and that's what tells me that, like, it is our hearts, that it's our own personal things that we're trying to correct in our kids, that we see, because if we were on the same page parenting, we would have the same consistent discipline. But like, we pick up on our heart on different ones. Yeah. And we're easier on different ones. It's just interesting how that plays out. And I'm not condoning this. This is something that you should grow in and fix. But yeah, it starts in your heart. And then the next thing was, like, the other hard part of parenting is when it talks about training up a child in the way he should go and they won't depart from it. The training is not some program that you do. The training is what you model to them. And that is the hardest part of parenting. It's
brutal.
This whole idea of do what I say, not what I do. We all know that's junk. We all know that doesn't work. That you actually have to live out, or at least attempt to live out, and then be honest about where you fail in that, so that your kids learn how to do that too. Yeah. Of like, hey, we're going to be a family that, whatever it is. What's a good, flosses our teeth every night, whatever it is. I'll pick something simple. We're going to be a family that flosses our teeth every night. And the nights that you mess up, you need to say, I messed up and I forgot. So that they can say, I messed up and I forgot. Because the second they see you not floss and just sweep it under the rug and act like it didn't happen, they go, okay, when we mess up, we act like it didn't happen. We don't confess it. We don't do that. Right. And so, like, you need to model to them who they're supposed to be. The people that adore their fathers and mothers, like, adore them. There's a common quality. that they were people to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
They were people that people respected. And so with parenting, like that's where it begins is I'm actually going to attempt to live out the things I'm telling you to do. And so, the first one is you got to center your home on God. Like if you want your kids to center their lives around God, then the center of your home needs to be around
Mm-hmm.
God. And when you put a whole bunch of other things in the center of your home and everything else revolves around those, that's your kids' lives are going to revolve around.
Yeah.
And what God says is like, you're making the most central thing of their life something that is worthless and is not going to lead them to anything of significance. It's going to, when it's sports, when it's grades, when it's all that stuff will fade. There will be a day and a time where none of that matters. There will be a day and a time where that will not fulfill the satisfactions of your heart. There will be a day and a time where that will be taken from you. And so you're centering their lives on something that's going to fail them. Whereas if you center their lives on God, and it starts with centering your home. In this house, we're going to make God a priority.
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's so difficult because we've all fallen prey to the things that distract us. Whether it's our jobs or our extracurricular activities or the kids, what the kids have going on, their sports, and I mean you named them all, sports, show choir, band, travel teams, all those things that
leisure, money,
yeah,
all these things.
And of course, like we live in this most incredible part of the world and country and state.
It's the good life.
Yeah, it really is. It's the good life. Exactly. So we have access to all these things.
Yeah.
And we're so blessed with the resources and the time and the freedom to take advantage and to dive into these things. But finding a healthy balance is so incredibly difficult. And when you're preaching about these topics, man, I feel convicted every single time. And I think I fear that there's some people who get pretty jostled to the point where they shut down. Like it's this because they don't want to hear what is actually the truth. They don't want to think of their future with their kids after all these activities have come and gone and the sun is set on those things. They don't want to think of their kids in a situation where they weren't set up for a strengthened faith walk and journey where the foundation was laid at a younger age, where now they're on their own and you can feel pretty comfortable about where they are with their faith because of the things that you had focused on and put priority on when they were little. I am certain that there are people who are just like, I don't even want to think about that right now.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who, what's the right term? I don't want to put a term on it. There are a lot of people that struggle with making God the center of their home in their own life for themselves. That other things in this world are a bigger priority to them.
Sure.
And then they're like, well, we went to church a lot, and look, my kid didn't turn out, like my kid, and it's like, they don't want to believe that it could be something they've done that caused that. They want to believe, well, the church didn't do its job. And we have these discussions, these kids go off to college and move in with their boyfriend or girlfriend and, stop going to church and, are vaping and smoking weed and, having a hard time keeping a job. And they're like, Pastor, we came to church.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like, do we understand that it doesn't matter how many times, like, first off, don't act like you had perfect attendance, and don't act like church is just some magic, formula that you show up and magically everything happens in your life that's supposed to. you need to understand that what happens at home will dictate how much that church really takes, how much God really takes. Like, do you go home? And that's the second point. Not only do you center your home on God, but then the second part is, do you walk in wisdom? Do you actually take the lessons of God from the Bible, from the Word, from the sermon? Do you take those lessons and actually apply them to your life? Or is it just knowledge? Because there's a huge difference between knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom is living in the truth. And knowledge is just like, well, I've heard the truth, you know? And so do your kids actually see you applying these things to your life? And are you helping your kids apply these things to their lives? Are you sitting there and as you're driving home from school, you're asking them, what happened? You know, when I drive my kids home from school, I ask them the same 3 questions every day. What was something good today? What was something bad today? What was your favorite part of the day? And whenever we get into the bad part, oh, you know, this girl was, you know, arguing with this girl, and then I stepped in and then I start applying some wisdom to them. Okay, what are we supposed to do there? Should you have gotten involved in that at all? You know, was that really your job to hop in the middle and say you did that and like let's apply this wisdom to life. This person asked to look off my paper. You know, okay, well, I don't want them to be angry at me as a friend, okay? But what happens when your teacher finds out? You know, like, are you actually helping your kids apply the things that they've heard in life or heard from the truth of the gospel? Are you helping them apply that to your life? And are you applying these things to your life? Yeah. Because if, one of the things that fries me is some of these, kids, I gotta be careful. But, I hear the things that they know about, the things that they see online, the language that they know. And you think when kids kind of forget, when youth kind of forget you're in the room, like, cause we have some open times with youth group where they're just free to hang out and talk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you hear from a distance what they're talking about or saying, or some of the words, and there's times I'll have to be like, whoa, language, like, stop. Hello? Like, and it's like, 6th grade kids, 8th grade kids, like some of the stuff they know already. Yeah. Like parents, like that's on you.
It's heartbreaking.
That's you. Like, you're the one giving them full access to the internet. You're the one letting them watch TikTok every night. You're the one who's cussing up a storm at home. And then, oh my goodness, little Susie's dropping F-bombs in 4th grade because she's hearing it at home, and so it's like, hey, if you're not going to clean up your act, then what kind of kid are you raising? Where they think, oh no, this is okay. When I get angry, I can say all these types of words. We've had these situations in our own family where, like our kids have come home and we're like, where did you hear that? Where did you, at the Christian school that I'm paying a whole bunch of money to send you to, some kid is telling you all this stuff. And it's like, we had to deal with this last year with Hudson, where like we every once in a while I sit him down, I'm like, if you could not get in trouble, tell me something that you know, like free.
Here's some amnesty here.
I want to know what you know,
Yeah.
And Hudson told us all the cuss words.
He did?
Yeah, all of them. And I was like, where did you hear all that? One kid. It just takes one.
Yeah, the one child.
It takes one kid.
Yeah.
And like, I was fuming. I'm like, you're in 2nd grade. And then,
so did you blow the amnesty then?
No.
Okay.
I said, and that was where wisdom came in. Yeah. I said, those words are not okay. Yeah. I never want to hear those words from you. I don't care that you know them. I'm heartbroken that you know all those words. Daddy doesn't say those words. Mommy doesn't say those words. Mm-hmm. Like, we never use those words towards other people. We never say them, like, that's not okay. Like, that's where wisdom comes in. Like, I don't care if that's what that kid is. I don't want you to be like that kid at all.
Right.
Like, don't be like that, But that's where your disappointment in other parents comes in.
Sure.
Of like, I'm trying to create an environment for my kids and you're blowing it over in your house. And that doesn't just impact your house. That impacts all our houses.
Yeah.
Like Peyton in the sex talk, she heard it from a girl at school. You know, like before we could sit down and really get into the, I mean, like she knew the very basics.
Yeah.
But like there was a girl giving a lot more information than we really wanted a fifth grader to know. You know, and that was really frustrating because it was like, once again, I wanted to like call the parents and be like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
No fifth grade girl should know about all these dirty details.
What's going on in your house?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, these are things that I didn't learn until much
But
later.
isn't that is absolutely illustrative of the world that we live in. We have no control over how somebody parents their kid.
Right.
We have no control what the environment that our kids are going to be in school or in college or in their professions or the places they choose to live. We don't have any control over that stuff. And as upsetting as it is, in particular, you know, because you don't.
That's exactly what the verse is about.
Well, exactly. I mean, a private Christian school is not going to protect
No.
you or eliminate all these things.
No.
I mean, obviously, right? But
That's exactly what the verse is about. Is you're not going to be able to create some, unless you like homeschool your kids and they never interact with anybody ever. Like you're not going to be able to protect your kids from not knowing these things. What you need to do is train up your child in the way they should go.
Right.
So that they're prepared to ride out this world and hold on to who they're supposed to be throughout this world. And so you got to center your home on God. You got to walk the walk in wisdom. And then the third one was you got to discipline. You have got to discipline your kids. And the way you discipline is you teach them self-discipline. Discipline is not, you have inconvenienced me, you have made me angry, you have disappointed me. You know, like that's not discipline. And I'm punishing you because of what you've done to me. Discipline is teaching them to not want to do the bad behavior. The whole point of discipline is to say, do you see the consequences of this? Don't do this again. So that the next time that comes up for them, they go, oh, I know how that played out last time. I don't want that. That's the point of discipline, is you need to create consequences that teach them to correct themselves. And the way you do that is you practicing self-discipline and confessing to them when you've messed up. And then you teaching them, hey, like it is my job to teach you to not chase after that thing. And I think that's a huge issue, you know, like people, there are some parents in this world that have a very hard time ever believing that their kid could do something wrong. And you're like, hey, your kid did this thing wrong. You know, like you need to, no, not my kid. Well, that's their fault. That's your kid hears that. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh, my issues aren't my problem. The teacher's too hard on me. The teacher, you know, like the people that blame the teacher because what they're doing is they're revealing the parent's heart, that the parent is more embarrassed and protecting themselves from embarrassment of saying, no, not my kid. You're the problem. The teacher's the problem. They're you know, like you need to, as a parent, say, hey, my job is to raise this kid to be self-disciplined and choose, when having the option not to do the right thing. And so how do I do that? Well, you know, that I think each kid is different. There are certain, with discipline, just in my own house, there are kids that respond to different things. Spanking, that works for some of them.
Sure.
Taking things away, that works for some of them. Grounding, some of them just telling them you're disappointed. And that has broken their heart to where they don't want to do that again. You need to learn what actually works for your child. Because, I mean, like, some parents are like, oh, I just spank them, you know, like, there are some kids that, like, that gets them defiant. Yeah. They are like, you can spank me away. I'm going to just stick it to you. You know, like, that raises up an anger in them to more spite you than, and so you need to figure out, how does my child respond best to correction?
Absolutely.
And figure that out and use it. And then teach them, hey, you know, and I brought up the example about lying. Man, I paid hard for that. And it wasn't until I had enough consequences and enough discipline to go, man, this is not worth it.
Yeah.
I've lost friends. I've lost, like in high school, lying about where I was, like saying I was going over to a friend's house, but then going over somewhere else, and stuff like that. And then, I'm grounded for a month. Well, and then I can't go anywhere. And then it's like, oh, okay, it's not worth lying. Like you got to do whatever it takes to teach them. Like, I don't want to do that.
I was grounded so much in high school.
Oh, so was I.
I mean, it was not fun. And it was all, they were like legitimate rules, like legitimate reasons that my parents were like, okay, now you're caught and now you're done. I mean, it was like a month at a time. I'm sure it was probably like that way for you too, where I learned like, okay, we gotta shut this activity down. Like the things that I'm choosing to do that I know are contrary to what my parents want from me, that has to stop because I have no life. And it's different. It was different. Kids don't understand today what grounding is. There's no way that they understand the level, the degree of how much of life is taken from you when you can't go hang out with your friends. And we didn't have any other way to connect with them. Like
right.
if they took
Social media has crushed it.
Social media, just cell phones, iPads, computers, Discord, all these other apps.
Because they can stay connected to their friends. And they choose that over hanging out in person more.
Right, yeah. Ground me, sure.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I can't go? Okay,
I mean, back in the day, yeah. Like,
right. Now
that was your social.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it just, it finally clicked that, okay, this is too important to my parents. And even if I disagree with how they want to raise me, I cannot sit alone in my home for another 30 days.
Right.
That's just not going to happen.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, I missed out on a lot of things that I wanted to go to, in high school, and it worked because I was like, okay, like issues of, curfew and coming in like 10, 15 minutes late and stuff like that. The first couple times that cost me weeks with my girlfriend on dates and stuff like that. And having to call her and be like, sorry, I can't
do it.
I can go to the football game and see you there, but then I have to come home,
Right.
like, and how embarrassing that was of everybody going out afterwards.
It's
and
terrible.
you're like, I'm grounded, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
There was shame in that of like, all right, I am home on time for curfew. Like I will do that,
And it was like just a couple minutes beyond curfew.
Yeah, and there are
Boom,
parents out there
grounded.
that are just like, oh, I couldn't do that to them. I couldn't. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
If you love them, you're going to teach them to follow the rules. Because otherwise they're never going to learn. And if they're not going to learn to self-discipline themselves, they are going to, like how many parents are out there right now and they have kids that cannot take care of themselves. That they have done, the parent has throughout their entire childhood told them what. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. They've never taught them why. They've never taught them how to do it themselves. They've just taught them what. And then these kids get out and they're calling their moms every day for hours of, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? That should be a red flag to you. I messed up. I need to start teaching you how and why so that you can do that for yourself. And that's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
And so as we look at parenting, the big thing is like this whole idea of like, there's some magic formula that you can do and kids just turn out. That's not true. It's hard work and it's frustrating work because it starts with you. But the good news is they're half you. Well, so as soon as you figure out how to master some of this stuff, and live this stuff out, you can help them because they are half you. Yeah. And you be like, look, I struggle with that too. Here's what we do. I struggle with fear too. Here's what we do. I struggle with jealousy too. Here's what we do. I struggle with anything, like
fear of missing out.
Sure.
Fear of missing out. Fear of not fitting in. Fear of not looking cool. Fear of being made fun of. Fear of being excluded. Those were the things I think that I struggled with the most as a kid, is that my parents had rules and some of the other friends of mine, their parents didn't have the same types of rules. They were going out, they were doing things together that I was going to be excluded from because my parents weren't going to let me, which is why I forced my way through those
Yeah.
through those rules, and then I paid the consequences.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, teaching your kids the whys and the hows will help them understand the what. Like, hey, like, growing up, my rule was I couldn't go to somebody's house unless their parents were there.
Yeah.
And then when they explained the hows and the whys, and then pointed out examples of, hey, that kid at school, do you see what happened at that house because of what, like all the damage that was done at that party? And, like $20,000 worth of damage at that house, like, see what, like the cops got called because of all this, like, see, and the parents are in trouble with the law, like all this. And when they started pointing out the hows and the whys, I was like,
Oh,
okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I was like, oh, okay, father and mother, but like,
I was wrong.
I
You're so
appreciated,
right.
I appreciated that they respected me enough to say, here's the how and the why, not just the do what I tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and even explaining to you what the how and the why it was, knowing that you weren't going to get it because we didn't have fully developed brains.
No.
And we couldn't see the same, we didn't have a lifetime of wisdom.
Right.
Either. I mean, there are those things that play in, but still take the time, because at some point in time,
Yeah.
your kid is going to be like, I remember them saying that, and I remember them explaining
Yes.
to me and why, and I didn't get it then, but I get it now.
Right. And that's the thing you have to understand about kids. They're not ever done. You are always their parent. You are always going to be one or two stages in life ahead of them and learning lessons that you need to be passing down to them, no matter what stage of life you're at. And they need those lessons because they've never gone through what they're going through.
Right.
So they need you to say, hey, look, I love you. I'm your dad. Here's, even when you're 30 and you're buying your first house or whatever, here's things to learn. Here's things to know. Like, that's your job. So good luck parenting.
Yeah. Good luck. It's not easy.
It's not.
It's the most difficult. We've said this before. It's the most difficult job we ever had, and it's also the most rewarding, and it's the most terrifying, and
it's
the
the most important.
loving, and the most important. Yeah,
Yep.
it really is.
God has entrusted those little lives to you,
Yeah.
but he's entrusted them to you to teach them what he wants them to know,
Yeah.
how that he wants them to live. He's giving you the most precious gift, and he wants you to steward them well. Are you leading them and teaching them the right things that will actually cause them on the last day to be standing with all the saints? Because that's all that really matters. Or are you teaching them to love all the things that will distract them and busy them and pull them away one day?
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Yeah.
God will help you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. You're not in it alone.
Yeah.
And when you try and step up, it was really cute. There was a little girl last night at small group. And as she was walking out, she said, Pastor, your sermon. She's in like third grade, I think.
Okay.
She said, your sermon was so good. Guess what my dad did this week? I said, what? She said, we have had devos at dinner every night this week. And I said, you know what? You should go home and tell your dad he's doing a good job and to keep it up. And she said, I will. And she was so excited. But she was excited that he was doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Your kids aren't going to learn to do devos unless you do devos.
Mm-hmm.
And instill that in them. And I loved it. I loved that she was excited. And I hope and I'm knowing her, I'm sure she did go home and encourage her dad and say, like, good job.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
It's awesome.
It
I
is.
love that the kids are
Just
picking
a
up on
little
these
change.
messages. Yeah.
Just a little change.
Little
That's all it
things.
takes.
Sure.
And you're not going to be perfect at it. But God loves you and he forgives you and he's going to help you.
All true. Very good. Well, on we go. Thanks so much for that powerful message. It meant a lot to me and to my family as well. God bless.
God bless everybody.
Get onto whatever's blowing your phone up.
Hurricane relief.
It never stops.
Yep.